Welcome to the Quiet Your Inner Mean Girl podcast, a place for you to find the courage you need to take the first step and every step thereafter to create the habits, the confidence, and the life that you love. I'm your host, health and life coach, Abby Hegney. Let's dive in. Welcome to episode 23. Today, we are going to talk about waiting, specifically why we wait, the reality of waiting, and how to take that first step to move you closer to the habits that you want to create, the confidence that you want to feel, and the life you know is on the other side. I have been thinking all week about the concept of waiting because last weekend, my son had a hockey tournament down in Pennsylvania. And after his last game, instead of rushing home and driving 5 hours and trying to get home in time to go grocery shopping and get myself and the kids ready for the week and everyone in bed on time, I decided that I was going to take the kids to the Hershey factory on our way home. And listen, I am so glad that I did. We had the best time. We were there just a couple hours, maybe 2.5 hours at most. We took the factory tour. We made our own chocolate bars, which the kids absolutely loved. We walked around for a bit. We grabbed a quick bite to eat, and then we hit the road to go home. It was just so much fun. The kids, oh my gosh, they were having just the best time there, exploring and learning and creating. And I immediately recognized that we would have missed that fun, that experience, those memories had I thought we have to get home. We don't have the time. I have so much to do. The stories that our inner mean girl like to tell us, especially on the weekend when we're trying to get ourselves ready to set ourselves up for success for the week ahead. Making that stop meant that we got home late. I didn't go grocery shopping or do all of the normal things that I typically do on a Sunday to prepare for the week. But here's the thing. What I noticed when I got home is that I did the things that I know make me feel good when they are done. When we got home, I unpacked the car. I unpacked all of our clothes. The dirty clothes went right into the washer. The clean clothes went away. And I know for some of you that may sound crazy, but I am one of those people that unpacks as soon as we get home. And part of that is because of what we are going to talk about today. But I made the kids their lunches for the next day. I used what we had in the house, which happened to be enough. I got my kids and myself ready for bed, and we were all in bed 1 hour after we got home. 1 hour. As I got into bed, I was thinking how glad I was to do what we did, to not have to wake up in the morning to all of our bags all over the house, needing to be unpacked. I didn't have to wake up to needing to go through and see what needed to go in the laundry and what was clean and what was dirty. I didn't have to wake up knowing that I still had lunches to be packed and backpacks to be organized. It was all done. And it took me less than an hour. It was simple. It was quick. It was easy. It set up the next day to be so much better. I wasn't waking up to a mess. I wasn't waking up frantically trying to get everything together before the kids had to get to the bus. It was done. There was no drama about it. I knew what I wanted to do, and I just did it. I made the decision to do it instead of waiting, instead of putting it off. I didn't battle myself with thoughts of, oh, I should do this, but I really don't want to. Or I'm so tired. It was such a long drive. Or I don't feel like it. Those thoughts never even crossed my mind. I just made the decision to do what I did, knowing I'd feel so much better when it was done. And listen, that doesn't mean that I wasn't tired or that I was jumping for joy to do it. But I could see how doing it felt better than not doing it. I could see what was on the other side of taking that time and doing what I knew would make me feel better. I haven't been able to stop thinking about that and how what could have been a very stressful event, getting home late on a Sunday night, having just been away for 3 days, not feeling prepared for the week, was actually very simple because there was no inner mean girl getting in my way, trying to talk me out of what I knew I really wanted, what I knew would make me feel better, what I knew would set me up for success, what would manage my stress better and make the start of my week so much easier. There was no drama. There was no waiting. We think that waiting makes it easier. Waiting feels safe to us. If we wait to get started, we think it will help us to feel more ready. We think that if we wait, we'll have more energy. We'll feel more motivated. We'll feel more settled in the busyness of life. We think that if we wait to take the first step, we'll feel more grounded. We'll be able to better manage our time and our stress. We think that if we wait now, we'll be able to go all in then. Waiting feels comfortable. It keeps us where we are, in what we know, doing everything that we have always done. The problem with this is when you want to create change in your life, when you want to feel more balanced or more confident, when you want to create more of a routine for yourself and your family, when you want to lose weight or feel more in control or better manage your stress and respond to life instead of reacting to it, waiting is the most uncomfortable thing that you can do. It keeps you from what you really want. It's the longer, more difficult path to create the habits, the confidence, and the life you want to be living. The longer you wait, the more the excuses pile up. The more excuses you allow in, the more that you doubt yourself. The more complicated it feels to create any sort of change in your life. The longer you wait, the more time and energy you spend talking yourself out of what you really want. It creates a bigger gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. I know what it's like to feel like your mind is split in half. When you really want to start, when you really want to create that routine and those habits, when you really want to feel healthier and more confident and more balance in your life, and when you're not sure that you can do it, when it feels hard, when you're unsure of where to start, waiting feels easier. I get that. I have been there. I also know that every day you choose to wait, it gets harder to start. Every day that you wait, your inner mean girl gets louder. Every day you put off feeling more comfortable in your body is another day you spend beating yourself up. It's another day that goes by where you look in the mirror and you hate what you see. It's another day that you think, oh, it's so hard. What's the point? I don't even care anymore. It's another day spent feeling self-conscious. Another day that you delete those precious photos of you and your kids because you don't like the way that you look, or you avoid taking them altogether. It's another day comparing yourself to others, wishing you could look like they do, you could do what they were doing, that it could be just as easy for you as it seems to be for them. It's another day that you accept feeling disappointed and discouraged. Another day believing that you'll never be able to do it. Every day that you tell yourself that you're too busy, you're too tired, that you don't feel like it, or you don't want to, or that you don't want to, builds evidence your inner mean girl uses against you. Evidence that she uses to reinforce your belief that you can't, that you've never been able to stick with anything. It makes it harder to see that you can do it. Every day that you fall victim to the busyness of life and you think I'll get to it when is another day spent without developing the tools to help you manage your stress, to help you manage your time and your energy when life is busy, when you're on the go, when everybody and everything needs you. It's another day that feels out of your control. The longer you wait, the more overwhelming it all feels. And I want to give you a very simple example that I think we can all relate to pull this all together. I want you to think about bringing the mail into the house every day. You bring the mail in and you put it on the counter with the thought, I'll go through it later. You go about your day, life gets busy, you're on the go, and you finally get home, but you're exhausted. All you want to do is go to bed. You see that mail sitting on the counter and you think, oh, I have to go through that. I'll do it tomorrow. The next morning, you come downstairs, you see the mail on the counter. A hint of frustration comes in that it's still there, that you haven't yet gone through it, and you tell yourself, I'll do it later. Right now, you just want to sit and drink your coffee in peace. Later that day, you go out, you get the mail, you bring it in, but you're on your way to grab the kids. So you quickly throw it on the counter thinking, I don't have the time for it right now. I'll get to it later. And then you come home later, it's time for dinner. You get ready to make dinner and you see the mail, 2 days worth of mail now on the counter. You hate how it's making your counter cluttered, but you push it out of the way and you tell yourself that you'll do it when you're done. Then you quickly find yourself like swept up into your nightly routine. You go about it, you forget all about the mail, and this goes on for days. The pile gets bigger and bigger, and every time you see it, you stress about how you have to go through it. But the pile is so big that you never feel like you have the time. You never want to go through it. You don't feel like it. Then one day, one of your friends texts you and is like, hey, did you see that invitation? Are you going? Do you want to go together? And you're like, what invitation? Ugh, it's probably in that pile of mail. And you quickly sift through it, making a huge mess. You get frustrated that the mail is all over the place. You beat yourself up for letting it pile up, but you find that invitation and then you move on. The more days that go by, the more normal it becomes to see that pile of mail on the counter. It stresses you out every time you see it, but it's normal at this point. You just let it be. You don't even think about going through it anymore. You just figure, what's the point? It's been sitting there for so long. I want you to think about the time and the energy you spend avoiding going through that mail. Think about the frustration and the stress that builds every time you see that mail on the counter piling up. Think about how long it takes you to finally go through it. How much you hate every second of every piece of mail that you open when you finally take the time to do it. Then think about how much simpler it would have been to do it as soon as you brought it into the house, when there was only a couple of pieces to go through. Think about how much better you would have felt not seeing that pile of mail on the counter every day. The same is true for the habits, the routine, the balance, the confidence that you want to create in your life. The longer you wait, the harder it is. The more time and energy that's required. So, how do you do it? How do you stop waiting? How do you start? How do you take the next step? We all want to know, right? That's the $1,000,000 question. And in the simplest form, you just have to decide to stop waiting. I know right now that may feel really hard. And I'm going to talk to you more about how you can move yourself from waiting to starting or taking that next step. But I want you to know that it really does come down to making a decision. One of the things that makes my clients so successful is that they become master decision makers. Most of us like to hang out here in the waiting room. We want to feel ready. We want to know the way. We want to feel safe that it's all going to work out. But hanging around waiting doesn't actually bring us any of that. Feeling ready, knowing the way, having it all work out comes down to simply deciding that you are ready, that you're willing to start even when you aren't ready, that you're willing to figure it out, that you're willing to keep going until you get there. So how do you decide? You have to start seeing the value of starting. Right now, you're most likely thinking that waiting is valuable, that waiting is going to bring you the time, the energy, the motivation, the money, the confidence you need to get started. You have to start to look for how starting is the most valuable thing that you can do. You have to see how taking one step today moves you closer. You have to see how being one step closer makes you feel, how it shows you that you can do it, that it is possible. How taking one step today sparks a newfound motivation within you. You have to decide that you want it more than you don't. When you are waiting, you are deciding that you don't want it more than you want it. You've got to flip the script on that. It won't always feel good. It won't always feel easy, but we do things all of the time that don't feel good, that don't feel easy because we know what's on the other side. We know that we can get through the hard, that we can push through the challenges, that it doesn't have to be easy, and we'll get there and we'll create the thing that we want. We'll get the thing that we want. In order to take yourself from waiting to starting, you have to be able to see the ripple effect that starting has on your life. You have to take it deeper than that initial want. A lot of my clients come to me wanting to lose weight, and that's a great goal to have. But what I find is that it's not compelling enough. It's why they've lost weight only to gain it back so many times before. I help them to go deeper with this. I help them to see what losing the weight will actually mean to them, to their life, to everyone around them. When you get really clear on this, It pulls you out of waiting. You can't help but to start or to take that next step because it's so compelling to think about what's on the other side. It will feel harder not to do it than to do it. I talk about this in, I think it's episode 4, your compelling why. If you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to that right after this one. Or if you've already listened to it, listen to it again. Put it on repeat. Go back and find it and do the work. Find the thing that when you think about what you will create, when you stop waiting, you can't imagine waiting another day to get started. When you do, you will find a deeply rooted motivation that you didn't even know that you had. One that doesn't waver like the motivation we typically look for. And lastly, in order to stop waiting and to start taking action, you have to choose sentences that give you enough energy to take that first step or the next step in front of you. I want you to think about how you feel when you listen to your inner mean girl when she tells you that you can't, that you don't have time, that you're too busy or too tired, or that you'll get to it one day, versus when you tell yourself, I've got this. I'm going to figure it out. I'm willing to figure it out. I'm ready to figure this out. This is important to me. I can take one step today. What I can do today is enough. I'm moving myself closer. Think about how much space you create in your day when you stop spiraling in the confusion and the doubt of waiting. When you stop thinking about how much you want to feel better and you start taking action, you actually start moving yourself closer to feeling better. Think about how you will feel when instead of believing that you can't do it, you do it. You use the time that you have. You allow it to be enough. You do something today knowing that something is moving you closer to where you want to be. When you can create sentences that inspire and motivate you, sentences that you can find the truth in. This isn't about making everything sunshine and rainbows and daisies and puppies, but there is a truth that you can't see when your inner mean girl is loud. There is time underneath the story that you're too busy, that you don't have any. There is a first step hiding behind the story that you can't, or that you don't know where to start. There is an energy you're not feeling underneath the story that you're too tired. When you find your truth, you won't even think about waiting anymore. And the moment you decide you're not going to wait is the moment you become the woman who creates the habits, the confidence, and the life she wants to be living. I want to leave you with one final story today. Earlier this week, I celebrated the final session with one of my amazing clients. And I always reserve the final session for celebrating all of their progress, their transformation, celebrating them taking that first step, betting on themselves and the habits and the confidence and the life that they wanted, and for going out and creating it. As my client and I were celebrating her journey, I reflected on how, during her initial consultation call, she had told me that she had been in a rut for the past 4 years. Ever since the pandemic, she had lost who she once was. She wasn't doing the things that she enjoyed. She felt tired and exhausted all of the time. With her husband traveling a lot, she felt like everything was falling on her. And with a high level position at work, she was finding that she never had time for herself. She wasn't eating the way that she wanted to be eating. She wasn't moving her body the way that she wanted to be moving her body. She didn't feel comfortable in her own skin. She was living this way for 4 years. And she had been following me in my coaching for 3 of those years. Then in May of this year, she decided it was time to stop waiting. She scheduled a free consultation. She joined Confident Mind and Body. And in 6 months, she changed her life. She's now happier and more energetic. She's more centered and calm. She's lost weight. Her clothes are fitting again. She's now proud of her body. She's created a consistent routine for her, one that carries her throughout her day and makes her feel good, one that works for her and her busy schedule, even when she's traveling. She's now owning her choices, and the choices that she is making feel easier now. They've become part of who she is and what she does. She's spending her time how she wants to spend her time instead of feeling too tired to do anything that she wants to do. She's focusing on the things that are right for her. She's found her truth. She's now living that truth. She's more confident and she's having more fun. She's living her life and she feels like her old self again, the version of her before the pandemic, the version of her that she missed so much. This is the power of deciding not to wait. My client could have gone another year or 3 or 4 more years living in a rut, feeling uncomfortable in her own skin, putting off the life she wanted to be living, thinking that it wasn't for her. Instead, she decided that it was time, and she changed her life in 6 months. 6 months. This is available to you too. You just have to stop waiting. Maybe today that looks like scheduling a free consultation call to learn more about confident mind and body and how it can help you to create the change that it helped my client to create. Maybe today it's taking just that first step. One step today. That's all you need. It starts with the decision. It starts with the decision to stop waiting. All right, my friends, I will talk to you next week. If you are ready to quiet your inner mean girl, I invite you to join me inside Confident Mind and Body, my private coaching program, where you will learn to quiet your inner mean girl and create the habits, the confidence, and the life that you love. Just visit wellnesswithabbyh.com and schedule a free consultation.